Hi, welcome to Dr. Carr's Guide to Making Square Paper Fortune Tellers. Before I get started, I would like to share that I am laughing a little bit on the inside because this is a paradoxical yet totally appropriate use of my PhD in poetry. You are going to be making 2 square paper fortune tellers, which you will use for the next few weeks. So you can always make new ones, right? You're not stuck with the ones that you've made. And you're also not stuck with my guidelines. So just use them as a springboard, a catalyst, a place to get started. So the idea here is that in this moment, we're all frustrated, right? We lack agency, we lack control, we lack choices. And so the square paper fortune tellers are a way of gifting that to yourself, right? Giving yourself back some agency, some control, some choices, while also limiting those so you can stay focused. So what you're gonna do is build a square paper fortune teller for generative work to give you ideas and prompts, and then a square paper fortune teller for revision to help you dig in deeper to a project, a poem that you've already got started. And so the idea as we move forward is that I want you to be working in your imaginations. I want you to be creative, but I want you to choose whether generating new work or revising old work works for you in each particular moment. So that's why you have these 2 square paper fortune tellers. So the idea is you've exerted some agency, you've made some choices, you've been in control when you've decided what goes into the square paper fortune tellers, and also when you decide which one you use. And then from there, you let go, right? And you open yourself up to the range of choices and possibilities that you put in each square paper fortune teller. All right, so first thing, how do you make a square paper fortune teller? So you need a piece of paper that is a square. And if you have, the kinds of paper that we normally work with, if you just fold it over like that, and then, cut off the top, that will give you a square. Right, so I am just getting rid of the top section here. It helps too if you use paper that's a little bit thinner and more flexible than printer paper, if that's possible for you. You also want to think about size as well, so you kind of can A, get your fingers in there and get it moving around, and then B, can write what you need to write on the inside. So that is the rationale behind the paper that I have chosen today. Okay, so you do start by folding. You want to make sure that you always fold the same direction or the square paper fortune teller doesn't work very well. So we're going to fold the diagonals like so, each diagonal, and then we're going to fold from one side to the other. So we've basically folded this piece of paper in half every way possible. And again, always folding the same direction. Okay, so then what I do is I fold the triangle on each corner in, like so. And I fold it into the folds that I've already made. So you end up with something that looks like this. Again, where I've just folded in every corner to the center. Then I flip it over and I repeat the process. I fold every corner into the center. And I'm intentionally doing this off the top of my head because there's a point in which I always get confused that I think most people get confused. So we can experience my confusion together. You're very welcome. All right. So then I'm folding the last one, just folding each corner in. So I've got this now on the side I just folded. And then there is the back. Okay, so from there, I keep the side I just folded up and I just fold it in half, like so. And depending on the nature of the paper you chose to work with, you might have to massage this a little bit. So now, yes, I fold it again, keep that on top, fold it in half. And then when I look at the bottom here, right, I fold it in half, now I look at the bottom, And this is where my fingers go. So I pull back the little slots. You're probably totally gonna find a video on Wikipedia that's like much less of a Dr. Carr video. But anyways, I wanted you to have the benefit of my doing it. So your fingers go on the bottom, assuming that the paper is big enough and you can actually get them in. I got it, I swear I do. Okay, so here is my, oh my God, look guys, I totally did it, right? So here's my square paper fortune teller. I got the thing all ready to go. And the point is I wanted to show you this from start to finish because it is frustrating to do anything at home long distance online right now. So you've kind of got me here as a guide and a comfort. So the first thing is to now flatten it, right? Open it all the way back up. And this, what I'm opening now, this is where these inside pieces, this is where I write like the actual prompts. And so I'm gonna model for you the revision square paper fortune teller because I can't actually do the other one until after we've met. So again, right, this was like, I unfold it, and then right here, what gets revealed, that's where I write my prompts. And so there's one for each of these little triangles. So you have 8 little triangles total. So I'm gonna write in one. So we were supposed to get 2 things from the Argonauts. One passage that gives you courage philosophically. So I chose page 84. And it was the phrase, a question from the inside. And that inspired me to prompt myself to get inside the answers and look for the questions echoing inside their silences. So I'm going to write, and again, I have to like paraphrase this to make it fit. So I'm going to write, get inside answers and look for questions. And then I'm going to put page 84 just to remind myself that that came from the Argonauts. And then because I don't want the Argonauts like together, right? I kind of want to think strategically because when you fold this open, you get 2 at the same time. So I don't want 2 prompts from Maggie Nelson. I want to juxtapose things. So I'm going to put the other one down here. And so this was the passage that gives me writerly advice in a more nuts and bolts way from page 89. Maggie writes, in this way, I edit myself into a boldness that is neither native nor foreign to me. And so that's inspiring me to say to myself, let uncertainty in the first draft revise yourself to boldness in the final. So I'm just going to write uncertainty in first draft, revise to boldness. Okay, so you can see I've got 2 squares filled so far. So then from Orr's Basic Theory of Language, 2 kinds of language use. So I decided to go with saying and imagining because I love imagining and I am very skeptical of saying. And I think that juxtaposing the 2, you know, one that I'm good at, that I practice a lot, that feels natural, and then one that, you know, I'm kind of suspicious of and I don't do a lot, that I feel less comfortable with, that like juxtaposing those will help me push my writing past the edges of what I think imagine to be possible for myself as a writer and for my own writing. So I'm gonna put saying next to uncertainty because I kind of like those 2 going together. So you can kind of like think about like as you juxtapose these 2 here, like how can you set yourself up for some interesting writing? And then I'm going to put imagining on its own. All right. Then 2 phrases or images from the Many Gendered Mothers of My Heart handout that might provoke your writing in a different or unexplored direction. So the first one I got from Ann Carson, which was metaphors on the edge of language. And actually, I think that that goes with imagining really well. So I kind of want to put those next to each other and just have something in here that's like coherent. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So metaphors on the edge of language. And I'm also going to remind myself that I got this from Ann Carson, so I can look it up later. So now I've got imagining and metaphors on the edge of language next to each other. The other one was Get Outside and Look for the Strange by Jory Graham. And you know what I really wish I did now, so I'm just going to change it because it's my square paper fortune teller and I can do this. I like putting that next to saying. So I'm going to cross saying out, and then I'm going to put saying and get outside and look for the strange next to each other. And again, I'm just going to remind myself that I got that from Jory Graham. So those two are now next to each other. So I only have, okay, so I've got 2 squares left. And these are 2 tips from the glossary that I put together for y'all right before spring break. And so this on Canvas is listed as Craft Techniques Pre-Spring Break, and you've got a printed copy of it as well. So it's supposed to be a tip or advice or image that might provoke your writing philosophically. And so for me, I wrote down surrendering to hope while maintaining the agency of anger. And this was under the definition of bewilderment. It was something Akbar had to say. So I'm going to put that... I think I'm going to put that get outside, or, yeah, I think I'm going to put that next to get inside the answers and look for questions. So what I'm trying to model is that I'm thinking really carefully and strategically about the choices I am making, the agency I am exerting in this moment. So then I can let go of worrying about that and be creative. All right, so the last one then, this was a tip advice image from the glossary that might provoke your writing in a nuts and bolts kind of way. And so I got this from Dungy, an aggressive image followed by 3 delicate ones. And so she's actually talking about the ocean here and talking about lineation and line breaks, but I don't actually want to think about line breaks right now. I don't think that's helpful for me. I also think it's something that I'm already really good at. So I just like changed this, right, to suit my purpose. And again, I wanted to model that for you. So now you have permission to do that your own self. So I've only got 1 spot left where I crossed out saying. So that is going next to uncertainty. So I'm going to say aggressive image, then 3 delicate ones. And I'm actually a little bit, I don't know. Now that I've made this, I'm like, ooh, maybe the like uncertainty in the first draft revised to boldness, maybe that really actually goes with the idea of surrendering to hope while maintaining the agency of power. Like maybe those are actually a really good pair to put together. And maybe I should have planned this out better before I got started. So again, I want to model this for you so you can sort of see by trial and error my own how you might want to plan before you start making it. So what I would suggest is before you put anything in here, go through the list. So this is my list. I followed my own instructions and start to think about how do I want to pair these things together? So something potentially, so I've like set myself up, right? So for potentially something really interesting, surprising, and unexpected, yet retrospectively logical because I put it together to happen. Okay, so that's what goes on the inside. Then you close that. And you write the numbers 1 through 8 on the triangles that you see when you fold. Like so. All right, so again, I fold this in half, and then these little, like this part here, that's now where my hands go. But before I get ready to use it, I have to write something on each of these 4 squares that remain. And this is where you just pick some system, like any system that works for you, just so you have something to spell to start with. So often people do colors, red, orange, yellow, green, whatever. And then like if you say, oh, look at, I'm going to start with red today, then you spell red. And that's how you get started, R-E-D. And so you just want to make sure that you use words that don't have the same number of letters. So I'm going to go with astrological things because I'm interested in this moment, particularly in astrology. So I'm going to put Chiron down, which is 5 letters. And then I'm going to put Lilith down, and that's 6 letters. And then just because I like to challenge myself, I'm going to put the Black Moon down, which has a lot of letters, more than you usually use for this kind of kind of game. And what's my last one? Star. Okay, so I've got Chiron, Lilith, Black Moon, Star. Okay, so say like it's tomorrow and I'm like, I want to do some I want to do some revision on a piece and process. So I'm going to say, I'm ready for a challenge today, so I'm going to start with the Black Moon. So I spell BLACKMOOM. And on the inside, I can see letters 3, 4, 7, and 8. I'm going to go with 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now I can just pick, right? Either to open. So I open 1 and 2. And what I see is underneath is uncertainty in first draft revised to boldness and aggressive image followed by 3 delicate ones. So I'm going to let that kind of like guide my writing today. I'm not going to feel constrained by it at all. Again, the idea is that the imagination likes containers, particularly in this moment, right? When everything is so uncertain, the future is reduced to ellipses, we feel so unsafe. That's partly why we feel like our imaginations are shutting down and why we can't work. So the idea is this is going to give you a container, and it's a container that in a way you made the square paper fortune teller, but where you don't actually have to make the choice of what to do today because it's going to tell you. So you kind of like set yourself up for success. That's the idea here. So, you know, I'm imagining myself tomorrow as I look at this and I think, well, I'm going to start with the images first because I think that's just going to like prime my imagination and get me going. And as I write these images, I'm going to open myself up to uncertainty, knowing that boldness will follow or that I will revise my way there. And I might even like start to think about, okay, you know, the aggressive image, is that where I'm uncertain or where I'm bold? And the delicate ones, you know, the same question. Is that where I'm uncertain? Is that where I'm bold? Like, what makes sense? And I'll probably experiment, right? And just see, because I can't answer that quickly. And also keeping in mind that this is my revision fortune teller. What I'll probably do is also whatever piece I'm going to work on today, as I read it, try to identify which images do I think are aggressive, which are delicate, and just like read it once, kind of marking for that. And then I'll go back through and just read for where do I see uncertainty and where do I see boldness, or where do I see opportunities for boldness if boldness isn't there. And, you know, kind of like create a little map of my poem in progress before I really dig in. So thank you for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. I hope it clarifies. And as always, please stay in touch. Please reach out to me if you have any questions about why we're working with square paper fortune tellers, how to make your square paper fortune teller, what to put inside your square paper fortune teller, and then especially, right, because we don't know what we don't know until we're actually doing it, anything that arises in the moment when you're like, okay, I understand why Dr. Carr thought this was going to be helpful for us, but like, it's not working, or I need clarifications, or I am still stuck. I am here, I am a resource, and I am very happy to help. Take care.